What's up, friends and family? Happy Monday. This is Steven with Let's Talk Herbs. As you can see, I'm out of the office today. and I wanted to get out and do two things. One, I got these new earbuds for the Apple iPods Pro for my birthday. Thank you to my lovely fiance. So I wanted to try them out and see if it come up good. So tell me, one, how the audio sounds. I'd appreciate it from your end as a viewer if it sounds okay. But two, I wanted to get out. It's about 70 degrees. We're not going to have a ton of these days left in the year. And I'm so close to this little trail, and it's so close to suburbia as well. It's so easy to get to. I thought, okay, yeah, I got a couple hours to kill before Dodger game. Let's do it. and I apologize. Baseball playoffs take up a lot of time, so if the content falls behind a little bit in October, I'm sorry. It's only because the Dodgers are doing well. That's why I've got a little bit more bass in my voice today from I went to the game last night. Anyways, you don't care about that. Yeah, I was out here looking for some gopher snakes. I found them out here before and was hoping we could do that, but nothing yet. Also looking for a spot to go look west, which is, it's up the hill pretty much directly behind me. So, because I want to see the comet tonight. I think that'll be pretty cool. So for those who don't know, the comet is viewable tonight about 45 minutes after sunset. Look west. Should be visible with the naked eye, but you're going to need to get away from a little bit of the light of the city. So looking out at the beach or whatever, and it's also going to be pretty low on the horizon. So that's my understanding. Anyways, check out that comment. But I did want to bring up a few other things because I wanted to ask the community, what do you guys think we can do? Because there's a problem going on with with social media, and I don't know. Listen, let me take that back. I don't know if this is a problem that we all need to address, or if this is just a problem that we should all expect, because people are people, right? So everyone's going to have their opinions. Everyone has their viewpoints. I completely understand. There was a guy in the news who you're probably familiar with if you're watching this channel, who was bitten by his inland taipan over in North or South Carolina. I'm not entirely sure which city he's in. But regardless of the specific location, a lot of folks are calling for him to be banned or outlawed. I actually reached out to this person in attempts to kind of get their side of the story. And that was my first response. And then I saw more videos on the subject from John over at Tipping Scales. I'll put a link in my description, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't think so. No thanks, Jeff. So never mind. I won't be having him on to do an interview, so we could disregard that. But I did want to bring up my thoughts on this. I had posted, and a few of you had suggested that was something that you wanted to hear, so I do want to hear it. And it's probably a really unpopular opinion, but it's not going to stop on its own. We're not going to be able to stop it. This video won't stop it. And by stopping, I mean putting himself at risk and making us all look really ignorant, because that's what his behavior is. Most of his online videos are 100% trolling. He's posting old videos now pretending that he recently got or they didn't confiscate all of his snakes, whatever. It's most of what comes out of his mouth is a lie. So it's hard to believe any of that stuff. He's claiming he's got to deal with Netflix, and everyone's worried about what it's going to do, and we should be more anticipatory of what it is going to do, because after, especially this man says he has a deal with Netflix, who both after Tiger King and Chimp Crazy came out, there were laws created for the welfare of tigers and chimps, and frankly, I don't hate animal welfare laws. So, like I said, probably an unpopular opinion in the snake keeping community, and I'm kind of okay with that because it's my own opinion, and I think they need to be enacted in good faith, and instead of freaking out about what's coming down the pipe and they're coming to take our snakes, because they're not, and they won't. They're not there to just take everything that they see and ban all reptile ownership. What's more likely to happen is some common sense restrictions on venomous animals. I live in a state here, California, where if a rattlesnake came up to me right now, I could collect it and keep it handle it, do whatever. There's no restriction on it, so long as I have my fishing license makes it legal to do so, and in the appropriate place. I'm actually in an open space where I can't collect wildlife, but the point remains that there's, other than that, and the purpose of that law is to actually collect them. It's sort of in the fishing statutes, so it's not about collecting the rattlesnakes. It's about collecting and killing them. You're allowed a bag limit of 2 a day. So I think that's really more along the lines of what that's about, as opposed to actual ownership of the rattlesnakes, because there's also a lot of regulations, and you can't, profit in any way off of snakes in the state. So it wouldn't make a lot of sense for us to see laws enacted here changed regarding venomous. But if there started to be exploitation of the laws and failures in the state, and suddenly the black market is either arising out of California snakes or California dealers, which I don't know why, it's not likely to happen, or the something to do with overcollection of the indigenous species, resulting in harm to people as well. So there'd have to be some kind of big crazy rattlesnake case, and frankly, the money isn't there, so it weeds out a lot of the nut jobs. The individual who got bit, a lot of his fame comes from infamy comes from stuff that he's trying to sell and make money off of. He flips snakes, he flips reptiles. He's got all kinds of weird. I'm not going to get into the man's personal choices, but it's disturbing the more you look into it. And yeah, that's why I came up onto this hill, was to get away from it. I started writing notes, and I had this well thought out, well pinned out thing, and it's like, you know what, I don't need to take this guy down. I don't wish him harm, not personally. I might say something in private conversation for fun, but in real life, no, man, I don't wish anyone harm. He can do what he wants to do, and I hope he survives from it. But the reality of the situation is, he had a quote in one of his YouTube videos. He was very concerned about the availability of antivenom and the lack of preparation from his local staff for his bite. He says if the state is going to allow him to keep the snakes, they need to be prepared for bites, which I thought was delicious irony, because especially when you hear this amongst conservative and the right-wing rhetoric is personal responsibility. The government doesn't need to care for anybody. And then all of a sudden, once it hits him, it changes. And I found that irony to be delicious. And I don't know how you guys think about it. But the more I followed up on reading into the sky and everything, I thought, I can't, it's going to be a gross video. So I wanted to do it out in a beautiful place. And this is an easy place that came to mind, right out in the sun. It's like 71 degrees right now, beautiful October day. So I'm happy to share crappy news and talk about a crappy event and that sort of thing out here in the sunshine. And when he was saying that, I couldn't help but think, he's right. And if he isn't right, regardless of that, that's his mentality. And if that's his mentality, that's his expectation. If that's his expectation, it's going to continue to happen. And what I want to stress to everyone is that he is not the only person who does this. He won't be the last. He wasn't the first. He's not the only one doing it now. He might be the one we're most annoyed at, other than me for posting these live, unedited stream of consciousness videos. But he's not the only one. And this will continue to happen. And at some point we have to ask ourselves, is it worth risking the lives of these animals? Because it puts the animals in risk. Is it worth risking the lives of the people that have to go in and either confiscate the animals and remove them, and to clear up some misconceptions about his snakes and why they're killed and what happened to them? So apparently they're frozen, which I hate. It kind of makes sense with the venomous creature, but it wasn't so urgent that they be euthanized. They could have been waited for some sort of chemical euthanasia. So that was a major failing on the part of law enforcement. The euthanasia was abhorrent, but the reason for it was because the conditions were abhorrent. The way the man kept the animals was so gross that law enforcement could not legally leave them behind, right? Once they saw it, they said, we have to get them out. This is not an okay situation for them to come back to, basically. Why he's not charged with any sort of abuse after that they made that decision, it's not for me to decide. Each district is going to do their own thing. I don't love it. That being said, it is what it is, right? And the result is that his care and his failures led those animals to be confiscated and euthanized, and that's what happened. If they were never allowed to be in his possession in the first place, they would have gone on to a responsible owner with the permits in, Texas or Florida or wherever people are keeping venomous snakes. Tennessee, I know. But instead, they wound up in the hands of someone in a completely unregulated place. And when he got bit, he expected the state to be able to take care of him, plain and simple. And he even questioned, why didn't they take care of me? This is the kind of guy who would sue the state for saying they didn't have Taipan venom for him. And I hope he doesn't get any ideas from this video. You know what? I don't care. It's all part of the process. He can do whatever he wants. It's the American. That's what we get in America. You can sue whomever you want. But anyways, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to summarize by saying there's going to be laws that come in as a result of this, and every future mistake and terrible bad actor we have in the hobby, there's going to be laws that come down. So what we need to do instead is be smart about who we vote for. When there's candidates on the ballot who very clearly are against the environment or so in such a regard that it displaces any sort of wealth or revenue. The priorities are environment way behind income. So for many of us that know about the natural world, we know that that's sort of foolish and short-sighted, because without the environment, there is no wealth or income. So if that's something you care about, it starts at the top. You vote for, lately it's been the Democratic presidents. Kamala Harris is the best option. I'm not saying she's the perfect candidate, but that's obvious. Vote for local referendums, vote to save public space, show up to neighborhood council meetings, because they're going to ask about ridge lines and things like that in your local communities. And if you want to protect vital ecosystems, one neighborhood at a time, you're going to have to show up and participate. And I'm doing a little bit, but not as much as I'd like. And I just want to let you know that however you're involved, however you get involved, that's great. But at least go vote. If nothing else, go vote. So that's coming up. And make good decisions. Tell me if I'm crazy. Do you think there's another way that we can prevent, I don't know how to even categorize this saga of this Taipan bite, because it goes on well before the actual bite, and it's still ongoing too, because it's who he is. So I don't know, are there ways to avoid this sort of saga besides changing legislation? I don't think so. You tell me in the comments. 80% of you that watch aren't subscribed, so if you made it this far, I'd love it if you hit the subscribe too. We'll be doing some interviews, have some good stuff planned. Definitely wrapping up herping season, but there's not much of that content on here anyway. And that's it, folks. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Really appreciate the patrons who have supported this channel from day one. You guys are awesome. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks. Go Dodgers.